Welcome to part 7 of our D2L video series. My name is Adam Griever in the Office of E-Learning at ETSU, and in this video we're going to be talking about using the D2L calendar. You may want to go ahead and click the gear icon in the bottom right corner of your YouTube player and select HD 720, and also open the video up to full screen so that you can see it well. The calendar tool is located on the top left corner of your nav bar. And once loaded, looks like this. It's basically broken down into 3 separate areas. On the left side, we have a calendar that we can use to click through the months. There's going to be a listing of all of your courses down the left side of the screen. So if you have a lot of courses, you can see that this can kind of scroll on for a long time. In the middle of the screen, we have a blown up calendar, as well as some buttons along the top to select different calendar views, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. And on the right side of the screen, there's a tasks bar, so you can add tasks that just you can view. Let's talk about each one of these areas in a little more detail. You'll notice that since I came to the calendar from an actual course, that course is going to be listed here at the top. It does color code the courses, so this one it has put the course in a pink color grid here, and you can see if I roll my mouse over other courses, it will randomly color them. Just as I keep scrolling down, it's going to assign a color to each course. What this allows me to do is add entries to just this course's calendar, or to use the checkbox to highlight multiple courses, and I can also add calendar entries to those calendars as well. Each course will keep its own separate calendar in D2L. Now notice in the middle of the screen here where I'm viewing the larger calendar, I can see that I have an entry on August 6th called Week 2. You may remember, if you watched my previous video on content, that whenever I made a Week 2 module, I made a restriction that said that that module opened on August 6th. There was a checkbox right below the start and the end date that says Display in Calendar. By checking that box, it automatically built this calendar entry for me, and it also has put this calendar entry on all of my students' calendars so that they can see it as well. Using this option when you're building things in D2L makes it really easy to build out your calendar without actually having to come to the calendar tool. So when you add start and end date restrictions on content, discussions, Dropbox assignments, assessments, it's going to automatically build these calendar entries as long as you check that box, Display in Calendar. It's very easy to build new events on the calendar if you just want to build them directly on this screen. You can either click the Create Event button up at the top of the calendar once you have the month chosen that you want to build the entry in, or you can just come down and click on a day. So if I come down and click on August 15th, it's going to pop out a little window that allows me to click the Create Event button here to create an event on that day. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you'll notice it's going to open up a small window that gives me the ability to type in a title. I can now scroll down and choose whose calendars this entry is going to appear on. By default, it's going to appear on everyone's calendar in the course, but if I wanted to, I could choose to have it appear on different groups in the class, or just for this to be a personal calendar entry. Finally, if I come down to the bottom, I can click Create to make this an all-day event, or if I need to enter more information, I can come down and click the More option in the bottom right corner. This is going to open the calendar entry up in a bigger window that will give me a few more options. So if I need to set a specific time, I can uncheck the All Day button, and now I'm going to have some time boxes appear that I can now enter a time range. If I wanted to, I can make this a recurring event. I can also add various restrictions to this calendar entry, such as it's hidden until a certain number of days before the event starts, and so on. Finally, down at the bottom, I can type in a location, or just go down to the bottom and click Create to actually build this calendar entry. Okay, you'll now see that this paper 1 due is now been added to my calendar on August 15th, and because I left the default option, it's going to go ahead and appear on all of my students' calendars as well. Now, up at the top, you'll see that there are 5 different views available. The month view looks like this. It's basically going to give you the full month view, and you can see little buttons that represent the different events for that month. You can also go to a list view that's going to list things out as upcoming events. Here you can see I can filter by the different tools in D2L. I can click on these entries to have them jump out to a bigger description of that item, and this lists the information in a very logical fashion. Here I can also choose individual items with the checkboxes and click the More Actions button to change the event's visibility, whether students are seeing it or not, and also offset the dates. So if I have some due dates from a previous semester, I can actually use this to offset them and move them forward or backwards a certain number of days. Another view is the week view, which is just going to show the events that are going on this week. The day view is similar to this, just showing the events happening on this specific day. An interesting view that they added recently in D2L is the agenda view. The agenda view is an interesting way to view your materials, as it's going to list them out as upcoming events in the class. So here I can see on August 6th the things that are going to be due and the things that are opening up on those dates. This is a really great view for students to see the things that are coming up in the course and how they're going to be laid out. Now, the final section of the calendar that we're going to talk about is the tasks on the right side of the screen. This is a completely personal tool, and the students are never going to see any of the things that you list here. If I want to add a new task, I can click here in the box that says Add a Task. I can type in something, and when I hit Enter, it's going to build that task. So you can see now that I have finished grading papers. Once I'm finished doing that, I can check the box to mark it as completed. If I need to set a due date for this task, I can go ahead and click on its title, and it's going to open it out into the window here, and I can set a due date. I can add some notes if I need to. I can also use the trash can here to delete this task if I no longer want to see it. I can click on tasks here at the top to return back to the top level page. Once I'm finished doing this item, I can check on it here, and you'll notice that it disappears from my task list. If I need to see this entry again, I can click View Completed to view tasks that I've completed in D2L. One final thing that I'd like to mention is that the calendar is printable. You'll notice up in the top right corner there is a print button that you can click, and it's going to print this out based upon the view that you have selected. So you can print out a nice agenda view that you can carry around with you to see when things are coming up in the class. This has been a brief overview of using the calendar tool in D2L. It's a very powerful and flexible calendar, and it has a whole lot of different options that you can get in here and play around with and really get this set up the way that you'd like to use it. Again, I do want to mention that you don't necessarily have to build your calendar entries on the calendar. You can just use the date restriction settings on content, discussions, Dropbox, and assessments when you're building those items, and if you check the option displaying calendar, it's going to automatically build these calendar entries for you, and that's definitely a quicker and easier way to do it as opposed to coming and building the calendar entries manually. This video completes the topics that we generally cover in the D2L Introduction workshop. Hopefully these brief videos have given you a basic understanding of using D2L, and as you use it now, you're going to feel more comfortable with your skill set. In the upcoming videos, we're going to talk about some of the more advanced tools in D2L, such as discussions, Dropbox, the assessments tool, and grades. Thanks for watching.